All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Film Hustlers. This is an international episode coming to you live from Toluca, Mexico. And we are in the Blue Room, the recording room. What's this room called, Alex?
Actually, it's like a music lab.
It's a music lab. We're going to take some pictures, and you're going to see this room. It's an incredible place to record and do your thing. But Film Hustlers it's Film Hustler. Shout out to Tootie. Shout out to Davey Dave that they're not here with me. They're back in Los Angeles. But we wanted to do a very special podcast today from Mexico City because I've got two of the most incredible musicians here with me today. And I've also got my composer that works on most of the films that we do at VMR and Roberts Media. Done most of our Christmas stuff. I also have the guitar player, also a composer, that's worked on most of our cuts. You know, we did a show called My Ride Rules, where he did an amazing guitar solo on that special song that played for 2 seasons. It's still on television now. But I want to introduce to you Cesar Vega, composer, Alex Vega, composer, both incredible musicians on their own. And welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. I'm just really grateful. I'm very happy to be finally part of this amazing podcast. I'm a fan. Tootie, cheers to you. I'm a really fan of you. I had the opportunity of working with Tootie in one movie. That was my first work, so I'm really proud of what we did. And Dave, I'm a fan of you. So cheers to you guys.
And thank you, Marco. It's a great honor to be in your podcast. And hello, everybody over there.
Yeah, man. Here we are. We're going international. So, we might speak in Spanish here once in a while. So if you know, a lot of Latinos listen to my podcast.
Excuse my accent, please, sometimes.
Oh, you can't even tell.
I'm sorry about my accent, too.
No problem. But there's a lot of listeners in Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a lot of listeners that listen to the podcast here. So shout out to todos los que oyen el podcast aquí en México.
Saludos a toda la bandera latina, ¿eh?
Saludos a todos los mexicanos en Los Ángeles, en Chicago,
en Latinoamérica.
En toda Latinoamérica que escuchan este podcast.
Yeah, incredible. We'll be speaking a little Spanish here and there, so get your translator out. But the show mainly is about doing independent film, talking about the process. So I think it's really important, I don't think we've had a composer on the show before. Like in 5 seasons, 120 shows, we've never had a composer on. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process of using a composer.
Of course, yes.
I mean, luckily, I'm related to Cesar and to Alex, and they're incredible musicians and composers. And it's a really unique opportunity to be able to work with people that you love, people you care about, people that are very talented, more talented than me. But it's a real honor. I'm lucky. So I'll tell you a little bit about how it works for me as a producer, and then we'll get into questions. But usually what happens is I do a movie. There's no composing going on while the movie's being developed. You got a script. You develop the script. There's no composing. Once in a while, Cesar and I have done a movie where I know there's going to be a lead vocal, there's going to be singing, there's going to be dancing. So we have to create all of that music months before we start the movie. So we finish the script. Cesar and I and Alex get together. We talk about what the songs are going to be like, what they're going to feel like, what the dance. We get together with the choreographer, talk about what he wants to do, and then we write those songs. And once they're ready, then the actors start to rehearse the songs, and then the dancing starts to happen way before we shoot, like 2 months before we shoot. So a lot of this work has to happen before we even roll camera. So if you're thinking about doing a movie that has a special song or has someone singing or there's karaoke even, you got to get into that ahead of time. You can't decide to do it while you're shooting because it'll be a disaster. Or you get very lucky and you'll pick a good song. But we do get together. If we're not doing a movie that's a musical, what we'll normally do is we'll shoot the movie, and then once it's cut, we'll all get together and with the director, the composer, the producers, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about what we want the song to feel like, what the movie's going to feel like, and then we turn over a copy of the movie to the composer, and you guys go do your thing, no? And then you go figure out what it's going to sound like, and then you turn in a version to us. We make notes, they make changes. So it's a process. It's a very important process. If you ask Steven Spielberg, he'll tell you music is 50% of a movie, of the enjoyment of a movie. You know, some people may think it's less or more. Doesn't really matter. You know, the biggest filmmakers in the world will tell you, without a good score, you're not going to have a good movie. So, you know, I'm going to ask you guys to talk about the process for you and, you know, what it is to compose and to work with directors and producers. Start with you, Cesar.
Yes, thank you. I think it's amazing to be a part of a team because I know that the movie business, it's teamwork. So that's the first thing that I was able to understand, that I'm not an artist. I'm doing a craft that is going to serve a vision, a story that a director wants to talk about ideas. So that, I mean, to find the right tone of the kind of music that they need to use for tell that story through my music.
Yeah, to collaborate.
Yeah, so it's very different when you start composing just for yourself and just for your artistry and just because you're inspired. You got to get inspired, but you got to tell a story as well. So it's very interesting and inspiring just to watch the scene and then start composing through, and maybe at the same time, or maybe before reading the script. So it's very unique craft that you need to learn, and you need to know. That's what I know now. You need to know a little bit about other stuff as lighting, as script, as movie making, photography, just to understand the whole picture sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And Alec, is your main instrument guitar?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I started with the trumpet when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up and we raised with all the musical instruments, and I decided to study in the first way the trumpet. Then my way, I had to change my way because I love always the guitar. Now I'm guitar player, a professional guitar player. So I'm talking about the movies, the music for the movies. It has to be really interesting watching a movie. I mean, without the music, I cannot imagine a picture without the music. And as Cesar says, sometimes you are really inspired doing your music. Sometimes sounds beautiful, but it's not working for the movie, for the producer, or maybe for the director. Yeah. And that's the real stuff, and it's really interesting. And we're really honored to work for you, Mark.
Oh, thank you, bud. Have you composed for any sort of television shows or
we did a lot. We did a lot of music for TV shows here in Mexico for a really big company.
For Televisa,
Can we
right?
say it? Can we say it?
Yeah, of course.
It's for Televisa. Yeah.
We had the opportunity to work for more than 10 years doing television shows, doing the jingle first, then the main theme of the television show, and then afterward we start mixing the show, and we learn a lot about television for several years with Televisa.
For a long time.
So that's where it started.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell a little story now because I have to tell everyone who's listening how it all started. So these guys come from a music family. And when I say music family, it's almost like a sitcom. There's a building in Toluca where there's, how many apartments are there here?
It's 6 apartments.
Okay, there's 6 apartments, and there's a music store on the first floor that faces the street. But in the 6 apartments lived 6 brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
And all of them were musicians, and those musicians had an orchestra. And then they had kids, and those are you guys. And now you guys, every one of you, bass player, composers, music writers, jingle writers, TV, everything. You guys do it all. But I'm talking about like a very, very big extended family, which all of them are musicians. And they own a music store that sits at the bottom of the apartment building where they all live. So it's not surprising to come here and to see how great you guys have done and how incredible all of the music is that you make, and all of the people you work with, like Televisa and all the different companies you work with here. But you're also working with people in Los Angeles. You work with Joel High, who's an award-winning music supervisor.
Yeah.
Sammy
great
Posner.
Sammy Posner, yes.
Right, incredible music supervisor. I worked with them on lots of things. But they're very talented, and they're working with you guys now too. So it's definitely an international business for you, right? Yes. For you guys, it's about working all over the world.
Now it is.
Yeah.
Now it is. But we have that lucky. I think we're lucky guys.
Yeah.
because many people doesn't have the chance, and maybe those many people couldn't find the right way, and we did it. We don't know how to, but we did it.
But you did. So the musical family extended, and all of these guys ended up, becoming, high level musicians. Literally studio level musicians. You can walk in. In fact, we're here in Mexico City with my son Cash, who's recording his music now, working with you guys, and you guys are just producing stuff together, bringing in the guitar, bringing in the drums. He's playing the piano. You're playing the. It's an amazing opportunity to do that. But also, you guys are set up for it. You do it all the time. It's not something you walk into. What was it like growing up? First of all, your father, Dino, is a concert level pianist.
Yeah, he's an amazing piano player.
You're talking about like he could do concerts of classical music, right? What was it like growing up in a family like that?
I think it seems that we had no choice but becoming musicians, but in a good way. In a good way.
I like that.
Yeah. You're going to play any instrument.
We just had to pick one. But no, I'm very thankful with my father because he made us go professional. He always had in his mind that we need to go to the conservatory. That's where we went, to the Conservatory of Music of Mexico City. And then it changed my life because I really got deep into the professional side and music reading and arrangement and everything. So for 7 years, I was doing nothing but music and playing piano and reading music.
Is this high school? Are you talking about?
It's professional.
So
yes,
you went.
university level. Yes.
You went to a high school that was performing arts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Then it's just another university.
Yeah, it's a
really
college. It's 7
it's a
years.
college.
Yeah.
So in high school,
Conservatory of Music.
What is high school?
High school is la prepa. It's before high school.
But it wasn't
it's
musical.
Before.
That wasn't musical.
No, that
okay,
wasn't
got it. So then you went to a professional
to the
school
Conservatory of Music, and then when we got the skills to become a professional musician. And after that, I as we were working on TV, I was wondering, I really love to make music for TV or for any audiovisual stuff. And then I went to Seattle, Washington to get to know more the film scoring side of this.
I remember that. So, I mean, something that's really important to glean from this conversation is that you and many other people find their way by just doing, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea that you were doing jingles or you were working for Televisa, for television shows, sometimes cartoons, right?
Yes.
Right. So you were doing this, and maybe it's not exactly what you wanted to do, but it led you to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
You went to Los Angeles one time, and you were at a convention.
Yes, and a workshop.
Workshop for composers, and you called me and said, "Hey, I'm learning how to be a composer, and I'm taking these courses, and I'm here for a conference." And that's what started to, as I started to become a producer that was doing more work, I was thinking, wait a minute, I could work with these guys. And I started calling you for things that I needed. And then when I let other people listen to your work, right? My Ride Rules is where it started.
Yeah.
And you both played on that.
Yeah, I still remember that track.
And it was the lead track. So whenever you watch My Ride Rules, the very first song is, your song. And the killer guitar,
I still been so excited when you hear your music. Even
amazing.
in a TV show, I cannot imagine in a movie.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
The idea that you need to start in a certain place is not right. The idea that you just need to do whatever you can to continue to work, right? If it's a commercial, if it's a cartoon, if it's a jingle, just do it. And then keep making contact and keep spreading out. If I hadn't seen you in Los Angeles at the conference for composers that you were at, I don't know that we would have connected.
Yeah, I remember I called you. I said, I'm here. I'm trying to be a composer. I'm learning the system, the business, and then I call you, and I'm so thankful for that because we started building trust. I have to be very patient. You said I may have something for you. I will call you, and that it's been like more than 10 years now from that.
No, we're lucky. I'm lucky. Everyone listens to the scores that we do and the music that we make, and they're like amazed. People really consider the work that I do musical. You know, a lot of like they expect great music from the movies that we're making, and you guys are providing that. So I'm very, very proud of the relationship, and I'm also amazed at the where you guys came from, what you did. I mean, and going back to the band, right? You guys grew up with a full orchestra of your family members playing all over Mexico City, and in huge places like Club Toluca, 3,000 people. But did you see that and want to be part? Did you always know you were going to be part of the group?
Yes. I think again we had no choice.
We were raised in that way.
But wait a minute, wait. So there was a full orchestra of your family members.
Yeah.
And he would always say, "You're going to be part of this."
Yes.
We didn't know. We just were there.
Yeah, you were there. And
we were just preparing since we were like 5 years old. I was playing already piano. We were in a TV show that my father was the hoster. And he says, "You're going to be on it. You need to learn something."
Like you remember when you were young, when you came the first time here in Mexico, Marco, you're going to sing. Okay. Just go up and sing.
I mean, not to make this about me. I know Tootie's saying like, "Oh, here we go."
We start just like you. You have to sing. But we were just the kids. It doesn't matter. Just go up the stage there and
I showed up here. I showed up here when I was 13 years old. Didn't know anybody, right? And walked into this musical building.
Yeah.
and then I went to, I think literally the day I got here, there was a gig at Club Toluca, and I went to go watch. And your dad said, "Hey, do you know any American songs?" And I was like, "Well, I know some Barry Manilow. I know Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen." He's like, "Come on, grab a mic. You're getting up there." And that was the beginning of my sort of musical journey. It gave me a lot of confidence. I went back home. Here's the crazy thing, and it's really, I mean, if you have kids, it's really, I think it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. But I remember going back to Los Angeles with a whole different attitude. I was on stage in front of 3,000
How do you feel? Like now I'm a singer, professional singer.
I felt like a professional singer, know? I felt like I had a lot of confidence. I knew what I was going to do. I was going to come back in the summer, and I was going to do it again. And I did. I did it for, quite a few years until I started doing things in Los Angeles where I was like not able to make it anymore. But it was an incredible opportunity. And look, if you're a filmmaker out there and I know a lot of times, I don't know, working with your family members is complicated sometimes. But I think if you have people that are composers that are in your family or good musicians or whatever, sometimes it's good to work with people that are close to you.
Yeah.
Because they'll give you a lot more of their energy, and you understand each other better. The thing about music, especially music in movies, is that there's a feel, there's an emotion.
Yeah, because we're talking about art.
Yeah.
And brother, for example, with Cesar and me, we're brothers. We grow up together. Yeah. And sometimes you have to put just a line between us. This is business, this is family.
Yeah. And you got to do it.
Yeah.
But in film, it's like, sometimes, when we do a scene, yes. And in film, it's different, right? Because it's not just a song. It's a song that needs to fit the picture and the emotion of the scene, right? So I think a lot of times, and something that we talk about a lot, and I think I use it anytime I work, is if you can listen to the song and it conveys the emotion of the scene without watching the scene, then you've achieved the song. You've achieved what the point of the work is.
It is.
Now all of a sudden you feel warm, or you feel love, or you feel anger, or you feel drive. Those things exist in music without picture. So now if you can do both of them together, and also you have to pull it back, right? It can't be a full song, right? You have to pull back some instruments so that you can hear the voices, the conversation.
Technical stuff that we talk about after you hear the first time that I send you a cue, for example. You say, "Oh, can you take this instrument away? It's in the way of the voice." Can you finish before? Can you start before? I don't know.
I feel like you, Cesar, I think that when we started to work, there was a lot of instruments in your music,
I just wanted to show myself.
Instead of just feeling like a chord that takes you through about a scene or a strum.
But can you imagine if I'm doing the music for my first film?
Yeah.
I want to put a lot of
Everything.
instruments.
So I had to pull it. I had to pull it back.
And you know what? Even more important, words should not be music.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really focused right now.
Yeah.
Where there's no music, and it's okay that there's no music.
I agree.
Those spaces, those clean spaces.
And I'm training myself to do that. Like Lori was saying, Lori is the director and editor, Lorena David, of the film that we just did, that you're going to be composing. What's interesting about that is she was talking about at the beginning of the movie feeling like it should be a different feel. And I remember saying, I said, well, then leave it dry. Don't put any music in it. Let's see what happens. If the scenes play without music, then maybe we should do that. I mean, that's the thing about filmmaking, too, is that you have to evolve.
Yes.
You know, I've worked with a lot of directors recently that are younger, and they have an idea of how the music should feel. And it's different than what I think, right? Sometimes it feels like too much, or it feels like too grungy, or it just feels like not like a score, because I'm used to like John Williams, Dabney, all these great composers from the past, the older guys. But I think things are changing in scoring too in movies. So they're getting different, and I as a producer have to listen and be like, okay, maybe let's try something different here. Maybe let's see if this works. And even if it doesn't work, sometimes I'll say to you, if you like it, because sometimes I won't like something and you will like something, and I'll say like, well, let's go with you. If you like that, then let's go. Let's just leave it in there, because sometimes I think I don't know all of it. It's not just because I think something's not great doesn't mean it isn't great. Sometimes you just kind of keep going.
And all the process is very interesting. Like you just mentioned Joel High.
Yeah, Joel
it's
High,
been very learning. He came here.
Joel High.
Joel, un saludo para ti, Joel, y un abrazo. And Sammy Posner, that she has been on my corner. That the last movie that we did, she was very helpful with me.
She's very talented. I think she's
very
a songwriter
talented.
too.
She's a really great musician. Hi, Sammy. Hola, Sammy. Un abrazo. And Joel and Sammy came to the recording of the orchestra, and it was a learning curve for me. They gave me a lot of concepts, so how to manage the recording, and I was very grateful with them.
That's
awesome. To spend time here in Mexico.
That's awesome. No, they're very talented. Shout out to them. They are very talented. I think award-winning music supervisors.
Yes,
he's
both
amazing.
Are great.
Yeah,
both great.
Works exclusively, or not exclusively, but works very closely with Tyler Perry.
Yes,
and all of his movies. So yeah, definitely a shout out to them and to their talent. And and working with a music supervisor that knows what he's doing is important. So yeah, I mean that's the key to all of this is collaboration. The key to all of it is trust. And innovation, trying to do something different, trying to do something cool. Before we go too far, I want to mention extrememusic.com, our partner. Yes. Okay. Now extrememusic.com has been an amazing asset to me as a producer, and I think to lots of people. It's a platform that you can use all over the world, even here in Mexico. I tried to sign on, but you have to have the Mexican login. They're very because it's owned by Sony, so they have a lot of security. But yeah, it's an incredible asset for us. Sometimes this is really cool because I'm talking about it and you actually do it together. But when we put temp score in a movie. Yes. It's to give the composer an example of what we were hoping for that scene. So sometimes what we'll do is we'll be listening to the tracks during the composer meeting, and the composer, Cesar will like the track, and we'll be like, you know what? Let's keep that track right where it's at because it's a great track. And sometimes it's from extrememusic.com. And we end up keeping it and licensing that I think the point is that you don't have to always compose every single song in a movie, right? You have needle drops.
Again, it's collaboration.
Yeah.
So you were talking about really nice song on Stepping Into the Holidays when she dances in the studio. And it's not my composing, but it's a great song.
It's a great song. Thanks for mentioning that. It is a great song.
It's a great song.
It's Jana Kramer. She's dancing on her own, and there's a song that bridges from Mario in his room to him walking to the studio to her dancing to him saying I'm here and them going on a walk, right? So, but that was a song that I found. It took me 2 hours and a bottle of tequila. To find that song, Casa Mexico, to find that song. But it's true, extrememusic.com is an important partner in all film, television, commercials, does it all. And when you can't find, or when you don't have time to compose every single piece in a movie, you can potentially find what you need at extrememusic.com.
As a composer, I could say that it's a very useful tool.
Yeah.
It can give you an idea of the feeling that you are looking for to compose, or maybe it can stay in the movie.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Hey Mark, we're talking about the process and how hard it is for you to make the choice. I mean, for example, when Cesar send you a track, how hard is to say maybe it's good, but it's not good for the picture, or how hard is to make up the decision for the last track or music?
I think when I'm not convinced about a song, when it's not hitting, in my opinion, I think it's not that hard to say to you or to Cesar, hey, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but it's not hitting the emotion that I think it should be. And most of the time you guys will agree, let's give it another shot. Let's put it in again, and then you try it again. And then somehow like we end up somewhere in between, but it's not hard for me to say, but also I think I normally like about 80% of what I get, so maybe 20% I'm saying like, hey, we can make this better.
You mentioned something very important in another podcast, that it will never be perfect.
No.
And you need to move on. You need to leave it just like that in the way it was, and if it's good, maybe there's always room to grow on the cues, but you have to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a part of art. It's like I was watching the Bruce Springsteen documentary.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because he was a perfectionist, so he had a very difficult time, writing. He had books of lyrics, and he was never able to finish, but eventually you do finish. Yes. And eventually you still don't think it's the best, but sometimes what you don't think is the best ends up being a big hit. A lot I've heard about in Bruce Springsteen included, but lots of artists. I used to hear about the Beatles. George Harrison would write like Here Comes the Sun, and they all thought, put it on the B-side. Remember when they had the little records? He would put it on the other side of Yesterday.
Yeah, that's always happy. Even pop songs.
And you're like, wait a minute, like Here Comes the Sun is one of the best songs ever written, and it was not as good as their other stuff. So I think it's objective, I think, you look at a song or you look at a movie or you look at a cue and you're like, that's going to be good enough. As a producer, I have to look at the full movie. And if a cue is going to change the movie to the point where it's going to make you like the movie more, then I'm going to stick with it. Yes. If it's the moment in the movie that's going to change everything, then I'm going to stick with that cue as long as it takes. If it's a part of the film where he's stepping out and walking down the street and walking into a place and that's the cue, then I'm going to be like, whatever you want to put there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there are certain pieces, those cues have to be almost perfect because it's the part of the movie that's going to impact the audience the most.
And there's this part of the process they give you notes. So that part is very important for me because that's when I get the feeling of the director, the producer, and this little message where they tell you where to go with your music. So it's sometimes the first time I was really afraid of having notes like I'm wrong. But it's just how to get it better, how to get it right for the people.
In script too, I mean, yes. I have a partner, Mario Lopez, exec produces most of the movies we work on. Jeff Stearns is my partner on these movies. You build partnerships with your producing partners, the actors, with everybody on the film, and eventually you trust people so much that you let them do their creative work, and usually you love it. And I, look. Being here, having my son here, working with you guys, hopefully he lets me play a song on the show one day, so people could hear it. But it's amazing to see him, working with extreme professionals.
Here, Marco.
No, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be working with you guys. I hope we do a lot more. Thanks for being on the podcast. And let's do it again real soon, yeah?
As soon as possible.
Yeah, let's do it again real soon. And then shout out to Tootie and to Davey Dave.
David A,
Yeah.
Tudy, and I'm gonna shout out to my family. That
Oh,
they
yeah.
are my partners here. My wife is not here, but Carla, I'm on the podcast. I always listen to because she always says, "What do you listen to?" I'm just learning how to make a movie.
Hey, we
With
talked about it
Tudy
a
when
lot.
everybody and
Tudy and,
my three sons, Sofia, Cecilia, Juan Pablo.
the gang.
Yeah, they are my partners in life, and where do I get inspiration from them?
From your family,
Yes,
yeah. That's
always,
awesome.
always.
For sure.
That's a great support. So I want to say hello to Silvana, Alvarito, my kids.
But definitely thank you guys all over the world. Thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of this. You know, the collaboration between producers and movies and composers. And by the way, if you ever want a great composer or composers here in Mexico, what's your Instagram?
Yeah, it's at Cesar Vega Music.
At Cesar Vega Music?
At Alex Vega Producer.
At Alex Vega Producer. You guys can reach out yourselves, work with some professionals, high level, man.
I want to give a special mention to Mario Lopez that
Oh, yeah,
has
thank
trust in my word through you, of course. I'm very thankful with Mark Roberts, but Mario Lopez that I had the opportunity to meet personally on the Access Hollywood set.
Yeah.
And it's a great person, great human being, a big star. And I'm so, every time you tell me that he's going to be in one of the movies that I make the music, I'm so proud and excited always about it.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because he is the North Star to all of our work. You know, if it wasn't for him, a lot of us wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So yeah, shout out to Mario. Thanks again. Thanks for listening from Mexico City. We're going to say goodbye and we'll see you next time on Film Hustlers.
See you next
Film
time. Thank
Hustler.
you.